into my soul. And who can spin the world around and hold me ever close? And who could search the depths of me and love me to the core? And who controls the world I see
Hey, well, good morning and welcome to Now Church and to our Sunday gathering. We love gathering together on a Sunday. However we're doing that, whether you're in person at Langold or joining us online, it is important to us just to gather together, to hopefully, to worship God together, to be empowered by God, to learn more about Him, so that we can be church throughout the week as well. We believe in a gathered and a scattered church, and today it is great just to gather with you to worship God, and then to be imparted, have something imparted into us as well. So we're really glad that you are here. Why don't you say hello in the comments if you are watching online? Let us know that you are there, and if you're at Langold, why don't you turn around just quickly and say hello to someone if you've not already said hello to them, as well as we prepare ourselves to worship. A few weeks ago we looked at the heart of worship, and it's not just about singing, although we love to sing. It's about giving God something of ourselves. And maybe you can't worship in the way that you want to worship this morning. Maybe you can't belt out a song, but hey, that doesn't mean you can't worship. In fact, actually, as you push in more, as you make yourself feel a little bit more uncomfortable, hey, maybe your worship, maybe that sacrifice of worship is something even greater that you can give to God today. So let's worship together as we play this song now.
Your love breaks on me like an ocean, and I'm caught up in your rolling seas. In your love is a place like a wide open space. Call me out into all I can be. I found my life in mercy deep. I found your kingdom on my knees. I found salvation wild and free when I found you. I found my life in mercy deep. I found your kingdom on my knees. I found salvation wild and free when I found you. Call me out into all I can be. when I found you.
God, we thank you that you are here, that you are alive, that you are real, that you are in our midst, and that you care about each and every one of us, God. And we thank you for the opportunity that we have to worship you and to be here this morning, God. We thank you. And Lord, just as we're in this moment, we just want to lift up any needs that are represented by those that are here today or watching online. God, we thank you that you are a God that does miracles, that you are a God that intervenes in situations. And Lord, we lift up those needs to you and ask that we would know your presence, that we would know your peace in our lives, God, and we would be able to trust you with everything that is coming our way. Lord, amen. Hey, and we love praying for people. We believe in prayer. We believe that God answers prayer, and we love seeing God answer prayer as well. So if you've got any prayer requests and you would love us to pray for you, we would love to be able to pray with you and pray for you. There's teams of people that would just love to be able to stand with you in prayer. So you can let us know your prayer needs. You can message us those. And if you're watching on our online platform, you can click a button now and let us know your prayer requests, because we would love to be able to pray with you.
Hey church, I hope you're having a fab morning so far. I just wanted to give you a quick update about what Now Youth is going to look like from now onwards. So we have decided to split the group into two separate groups, so year 7 to 9 and then year 10 to 11. I think it'll be really awesome for them to have age appropriate content and just have fun in a smaller group. It's going to be amazing. And we've also now got 2 different times, so it's still on a Sunday as usual, but we have got our in-person event at 1:30 till 3 p.m, and then we have got an online event from 7 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. Now I know that's sort of at 2 different ends of the day, but it gives people a chance. If they can't make it in person that week, then they can definitely watch it online. So why don't you, if you have kids or you know of any youth in the church, which I'm sure you do, why don't you encourage them to invite a friend along to youth either this week or in the upcoming weeks. We would love to see them there. Bye!
We're going to take up our offering right now. It's a chance for us to give some of our income back to God. We believe that's a biblical thing to do. We're really grateful as a church and as people that follow Christ for all he has done for us, for the fact that he has given his life for us, that he's made a way for us to come to know him. And it's just a privilege and an honor to be able to give something back to God as part of our worship, as part of our praise to him. And so there's an opportunity now for you to give some of your finance back to God and back to his church. We really appreciate those of you that have set up standing orders to give. That is just fantastic. Hey, and let me encourage you as well, as you're preparing to give, if you are a gift aider, if you pay UK tax, you can gift aid this, which means we can claim back an extra 25p for every pound that you give, and it makes an amazing difference. So we'd love you to be able to gift aid as well. And if you want any more information about giving or about gift aid, please get in touch with us, and we'd love to be able to help you. But let's give right now.
Welcome to the continuation of our preaching series at the moment, which is all about choices. If you've missed a couple of the previous weeks, don't worry, you can catch up on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. But we're talking about choices and how in life it's so important to make good choices, and even more than that, to make godly choices, to make the right choices. You know, our choices are so important because what we choose today impacts our tomorrow. It's not just about who we are today and what we're doing today, but actually our future and the kind of future we want to have for ourselves. Now, in life in general, I'm a self-confessed choice avoider. I'm the actual opposite of my husband Marcus. When we go out to eat somewhere, his favourite question is to ask the waiter or waitress, well, what would you recommend? Or have you got anything new that I can try? Whereas myself, if you know me well, you could probably already tell me what I would order. For example, if we were to get a pizza, I would order a margarita. If we were to go to a pub, I would get scampi or fish and chips. If we were to get Indian, I get korma. If we get Chinese, I get sweet and sour king prawns. So now you all know, please deliver to me, address available if you email us. But Marcus, he will look through the Chinese menu and he will pick out the chef's special with the unidentifiable meat and unpronounceable name, and he'll be like, yeah, I'll try that one. One advantage to my method of always having the same thing, I never have to send the waitress away and ask her to come back in a few moments whilst I decide. I already know a week before I go what I'm gonna have. But we often think of the important choices in life as being those big decisions, you know, who am I going to marry? Where am I going to work? What am I going to do with my life? But the reality is, it's in our everyday choices, in the mundane, ordinary, that we build the kind of life we are living. And most importantly, that we start to build and define who we are and the kind of person and character we're going to be. Obviously, I'm not talking about what we get delivered from Just Eat, but I'm talking about our daily choices, in our habits, in our attitudes, in our relationships, where we make good choices, where we make godly choices, and they form who we are. And it's out of who we are, the overflow of who we are, that we start to discover the what and the why and the how that we do other stuff. And you know, Marcus spoke on the first week of this Choices series to us about the choice to start, and then he spoke about the choice to stop. And he looked at this verse from the Bible which says, do not despise the day of small beginnings, because the Bible teaches us that actually it's in the small stuff that significance happens. It's in the small stuff where we prepare our hearts for the big stuff. A challenging saying that I've been thinking about this week and that I want to share with you is this: you make your choices and then your choices make you. You make your choices and then your choices make you. And it's in those daily choices, those habit choices, those attitude choices, those word choices, that our heart grows to become more like Jesus, and that our daily routines and rituals become more Christ-like. You make your choices and then your choices make you. So it's really, really important, church, that we learn how to be people who make good and godly choices, because our choices become the making of us. They become our who, and that dictates our what. So the next 2 weeks I want to look at the choice to stay or the choice to go. And we're going to do that by focusing on the story of Ruth today and thinking about, should I stay? So, should I stay or should I go? Have you ever had one of those decision moments in your life? We were on a holiday once at in the Lake District at a log cabin kind of place, and I woke up one morning, got up, and Marcus, my husband, was already up, and he was sitting with a cup of tea looking out the window at the lake that was the cabins were around, and the water was really high on the lake. There'd been a lot of rainfall overnight, and I said to him, the lake looks, really high, should we be worried? And he was like, oh, I don't know, I've just been enjoying the view as ducks swam almost up to our front door. So we just carried on. The kids got up and we started with the breakfast routine. I think both of them were like half dressed, eating Cocoa Pops when there came a knock at the door, and a guy who worked on the site said, "Listen, the place is going to flood. We know that the cabin's right in the front. Some of them are already underwater. Your one, it's touch and go. We're not sure if the water's going to reach this high, but you need to make a decision to stay or to go. You've got 10 minutes before the road will be impassable. If you want to go, you need to get your car out in the next 10 minutes. And then he left. So this was like, I don't know, 7:30 in the morning. We were like, what should we do? Should we risk it and stay? Should we go? We decided to go. We were quickly just grabbing at stuff in the apartment, shoving it into bags, carriers, getting the kids, putting them in the car. They were still half dressed, Cocoa Pops all down them. They were crying. I was stressed. We were all going. We got in the car. We set off and made our way through like quite deep floodwater to get off the site. And if you're wondering how it turned out okay in the end. Marcus and I were able to go back there that night, and our place hadn't flooded, just we couldn't drive there any longer, so we had to wade through in our wellies, but loads of the log cabins were underwater by this point, and so we felt like we've made a good choice here to go. But I want us to think today about this story of Ruth in the Bible, and she has to make a stay or go choice, and I'm sure in your life you've had to make decisions just like this. So Ruth is a book in the Bible found quite near the beginning, just after Joshua and Judges, and it's set in the time of the Judges, which is a time where the Bible says everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes, and I'm sure we can all relate to that, because that's what our society often feels like. Everyone does what is right in their own eyes. And it's into this kind of almost lawless society that we find the story of Ruth. Now Ruth, she wasn't an Israelite, she wasn't part of the family of God, she didn't know the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, she hadn't been part of entering the promised land, she was a foreigner, she was a Moabite. And what happened was a family of people from Judah, part of God's chosen people, they left Judah because of a famine, and they went to Moab, and there this family met and married foreign women. So Ruth was married, and she had a sister-in-law, she had a mother-in-law and father-in-law, and after 10 years her father-in-law died, then her sister-in-law's husband died, and then her husband died, and what was left was 3 widowed women in a foreign land: Ruth, her sister-in-law Orpah, and her mother Naomi. Now, being widows, being not in their own land, they were the lowest of the low, really, the worst position you could be in society. And so Naomi, she decided, actually, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to go back to Judah. I'm going to go back to Bethlehem, Judah, where I came from, and I'm going to go back to my own people. I'm going to leave this place. And so they pack up and set out on their journey. As they get to the road that would take them back to Judah, Naomi says to her 2 daughters-in-law, her 2 widowed daughters-in-law, don't stay with me. Go back to your mothers, go back to your own people, go back to your own gods. And so Orpah, Ruth's sister-in-law, she cries, she kisses Naomi goodbye, and she leaves to go back. Naomi says to them, you've got to go. There's no hope for your future with me. I don't have any more sons. I'm too old to have any more. And even if I did have another son for you to marry, you would have to wait a long time for him to grow up. Go, return. Naomi says to Ruth, look, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. So Ruth makes this decision to stay with Naomi. The Bible says she clung to her. She said, don't urge me to go. And when I heard this story as a child, and I think even when I read it to my own children, the thing that it was emphasised to me was Ruth's faithfulness to Naomi, that she wanted to support her mother-in-law, that she made a choice. Naomi, I'm going to stay with you. But actually her choice to stay is so much more than that. It's actually, Naomi says, Ruth, go back to your own people, go back to your own gods, But Ruth makes a choice not only to stay with Naomi, but to stay with God. She says, I want to make your people my people, and I want to make your God my God. She doesn't want to go back to her old gods. She wants the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob to be her God. She has seen something different in the worship of the Israelites, something different about their God. And so when faced with the choice to stay or to go back to her own people, to her mother, to the gods that she had before, or to stay with Naomi and make our God her God, she chooses to stay. And what follows on from that decision is just an amazing story full of redemption, full of coincidence or God incidents. From the timing of their arrival back in Bethlehem, which happened to be the harvest time after years of famine, to Ruth setting out to find food for them and happening upon the field of one of Naomi's only living relatives, Boaz. And it ends up that while she's gleaning in the field that belongs to this distant relative, she finds favour with the owner, with Boaz. And as she heads home at the end of the day with the food that she's managed to gather for Naomi, Naomi tells her, actually, Boaz is our relative. More than that, he's our kinsman, redeemer. And what that means is in those days there was a law that if you became widowed, you should be given the next son of the family to be your husband. And as Naomi was saying to Ruth, I have no more sons, so don't stay with me. But in that case, when there were no sons left to marry, another man in the family could become your kinsman redeemer or guardian redeemer, which means he would purchase the dead son's, the dead man's property, including his wife. So Boaz, by law, was in a position where he was able to marry Ruth and take on the land that would have belonged to her husband. So Boaz was one of the only two people that could do this, and Ruth just happened to come upon his field and start to gather food there. So from Ruth's choice to stay, to leave her own people and to stay with Naomi, and to make God her God, she goes on not only to make a new home for herself, but to find a man to marry, to inherit property, to have a son with, and she becomes the mother of Obed. I don't know why mine went blank then. She becomes the mother of Obed. She becomes the grandmother of Jesse and the great grandmother of David, King David, and the great grandmother of Jesus Christ. She becomes part of the lineage of Jesus, and that's why this is an incredible story of redemption. See, in this little book of Ruth, these 4 chapters, Boaz redeems Ruth. He redeems her, he marries her, he redeems their property, he saves her and Naomi from a life of destitution. But it points forward to the great story of redemption of Jesus, who came to redeem me and you and each one of us. I love this, that Boaz is the kinsman redeemer of the story, but Jesus, he is our great redeemer, and of the house and lineage of David, the house and lineage of Ruth and Boaz comes Jesus. So many prophetic words in the Bible, in Micah, Isaiah, even in Genesis, point forward to this, that from the house of Judah, from the royal line of David will come the Messiah. Listen to this in Genesis 49:10. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet. See, Ruth chose to stay with Naomi. She was a foreigner. She was a Moabite. She was a widow. She was poor, childless. She was really the lowest of the low, the worst place you could get in their society. But by this act of faith, by choosing to cling to Naomi, to stay with her and say, I will make your God my God, she becomes a mother in the line of Judah. She becomes a great-great-great-great-grandparent of Jesus and part of the story of God's fulfillment of his great plan to save the whole world. Ruth didn't know any of that. She didn't know what the future would bring. She didn't make the choice to cling to Naomi because she knew she would go on to marry and have a son and an heir and a great-grandson, King David. She made the choice to stay because it was the right thing to do. She made the choice to stay because she wanted to honour her family and because she wanted to make our God her God. We don't always know what the future will bring. In fact, we don't know what the future will bring for you or for me, for my family or for yours, for your workplace or for our church. But we know that when we make the right choice, when we choose to pursue God first, when we stand firm and stay and say, God, you will be my God, then he has a way of working everything together to show his glory and his goodness. See, there's significance to Ruth staying. There's significance to her sacrifice. There's significance to her service. When she chooses to stay, she makes a sacrifice, a sacrificial choice. Like Naomi's saying to her, go back because there's no future with me. I'm destitute, I'm poor, I've got no more sons. I can't own land, I can't own property, I can't look after us. You don't want to be a childless widow with me in a foreign land. Go back. But Ruth chooses to stay. And so she makes a sacrifice in that choice. She was actually saying by her choice, actually, I want to put you first, God. I want to put you before money, before prosperity. I want to put you before family, before children, before social status, before what people think of me, before my own dreams, before the potential future that I had in mind. I want to put you first, and so I will stay. And in doing the right thing and making that godly choice, we see how God blessed her. In her staying was sacrifice. And there might be areas in your life where the godly choice right now is for you to stay, to put a stake in the ground, to cling on and say, I'm staying right here. But that choice to stay involves sacrifice, requires sacrifice. Sacrifice of your dreams and goals, perhaps sacrifice of your finance or your time. Sacrifice of your own personal preferences or what people might say about you. But will you choose to put a stake in the ground and stay anyway and say, God, you will be my God and your people will be my people. In Ruth staying, there was a sacrifice which led to service. As she left with Naomi, she became the one who would have to provide for her widowed mother-in-law. As they arrived, she was the one who had to go out and find food, do back-breaking work, picking up barley, gleaning in the fields. In Ruth 2:7 it says of her that she came into the field and has remained here since morning until now, except for only one short rest in the shelter. So she worked diligently, she worked hard. She knew the significance of serving someone else, the significance of sacrifice, the significance of staying. If there are places in your world right now where you just don't know what choice to make, where you just don't know what to do, start by serving. Start by serving those around you. Start by serving those in leadership over you in the workplace or in school. Start by serving your family, your neighbours. Posture and position your heart to serve. Because as you make that right choice, your heart will find it so much easier to make the next right choice and the next one and the next one. It's so easy, isn't it, to become caught up with ourselves, with our own world, our own concerns and worries, especially at a difficult time like this. And so much so that we get to a place where in our mind we have no clarity. We're faced with confusion, we can't make decisions. And if you're in that headspace right now where your head just feels totally clouded over, you don't have clarity, you don't know what the right choice to make is, go with the right choices that you do know. Choose to serve, choose to submit, choose to put others before yourself. And as you make those right choices each day, the big right choices become clear. Start by loving God, putting him first, loving your neighbour as yourself. In other words, as you do that, the small things, the small right things, the big right things will fall into place. Ruth stayed with Naomi. She served her, she served God, and it turns out that she didn't have to worry about financial security. She didn't have to worry about having a baby. She didn't have to worry about who she was going to marry or where she was going to live. She got the small things right, and God had the rest of it in hand. So as you go into this week, and there are areas in your life where you feel unsure, what is the right choice for me? Should I stay or should I go? Where you feel lost, where you don't know what to do, where you're struggling to hold it all together perhaps. In your staying, acknowledge that might look like a cost. It might look like a sacrifice. But living a life after God's own heart involves sacrifice. Start by serving, and in your confusion you will find clarity. See, God has it under control. He doesn't let his promises fail. His plans for you are good. He has it in hand. I want to encourage you today in your staying to make God your God and his people your people. Where you don't know what to do, start small. Start by serving. And don't think that because sacrifice is involved, that means it isn't the right choice. To stay often means to sacrifice. Put God first and you won't go wrong.
Well, thank you so much for joining with us today at our Sunday gathering. I hope that word has helped you and that as you make choices this week, whether you look at staying the course, whether you look at going, that God will help you, that you'll be able to walk faithfully on the path that God has put in front of you. And if there's anything else that we can help you with, we would love to be able to do that. Just please reach out. Don't forget that we have got our Now pre-youth program coming up right now after this service over on nowkids.online.church, so you can jump over to that platform if you are years 6, 7, 8 at school, and we've got our youth programs on later today as well. So if you want any more information about our youth departments or our youth programs, message us on Instagram or Facebook, or drop us an email, and we'd love to be able to put you in contact with Amber, our youth pastor. But hey, have a fantastic day, and if we don't see you in the week, we'll see you next Sunday. Thanks so much for being here today.
Turning lives around. You are here, turning Yes, it is, yeah. It's who you are, Waymaker. Let's sing this together. Even when I don't see it. Come on, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Come on. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Oh, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, yeah. Oh, even when I don't see it, you're working. Yeah. You never stop. You're the Waymaker, yeah. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Light in the darkness, my God, that is, sing, that is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. Oh, and that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. Oh, it's who you are, my Jesus. Miracle worker. That is who you are. You are Waymaker, light in the darkness. Oh, his name is above. His name is above depression. His name is above loneliness. Oh, his name is above disease. His name is above cancer. His name is above every other name. He says, that is who you are. That is who you are. Jesus. And that